Whenever you're ready. Okay, so in this rainy Sunday in San Diego, let's begin. Right, we're going to have Susanna say a few words for us, reading from Happy Life and an opening prayer.
Good morning. Let's randomly open our Happy Life. So, be youthfulness of your body is short-lived. Use it to store up eternal values. The prime of life passes quickly, but our preset commitments extend over an entire lifetime. Be mindful of them. Good commitments will be like watchful sentinels along the way, blessing the hours. Bad ones will be like ruthless predators, perturbing your peace. Place signs of light along your path, marking the ground you have gained. Remain young at every age by way of upright conduct and a conscience free of regret. I'm going to read one more. In times of rainy days, we might need you. Never lose hope. Trust always, come what may. If all conspires against you and failure has you at the blink of despair, continue to expect divine aid even so. The only thing that happens to us is what is best for us. The law of God is love. With love, all things are possible. When you think help may arrive too late, hold steady and you will discover that it did arrive and just in the nick of time. People who despair have already lost part of the battle. All right. So good morning. Welcome to our Spiritual Sunday. It's raining in San Diego and it's really cold, so this marks a commitment, if you are here, to our eternal values. So let's start with prayer. Divine Father, Creator, thank you for all that has been given to us. Thank you for the messages that remind us that we really are, this really is temporary. If we are struggling today, tomorrow will be better. So help us to never lose hope. Help us to move on. Always trust in you. Thank you, Father, once again for the presence of our mentors, our guides. They are here, helping us to attune to our Creator for a few moments and receive the light through the speaker of today, or through it passes, through healing. Help us to keep our hearts open and our ears open so that we can enjoy to the full potential the meeting today. Thank you, and may your will be done, not ours. So be it.
Thank you very much, Susanna. Let's talk a little bit about the gospel today, right? And just as a joke, so it's really cold for us here in San Diego, but depending on where you are, we're in the upper 50s, wintertime. So depending on where you are in the United States, it's way colder for you. But for us it is. And we're going to talk a little bit about God in the beginning. And I think we all connect with the idea of a God that at least we consider to be all-loving and created this universe for us. I think most of us connect with that idea. And many people believe, and this is a challenge, that because God is perfect, God is infinitely good, or whatever words we put in this understanding of God, sometimes that the things in our lives are predefined. Sometimes that everything that happens has been defined by this God that loves us. And it creates sometimes situations where we might become paralyzed. We might become more like spectators, more like passive in terms of the way things happen. And today we're going to explore chapter 25 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, which challenges that in a sense that, yes, God is all-loving, God is perfect, God's infinite in wisdom and whatever, because we struggle to define God in words because human words are limited. The same way, if you go back in time like 500 years, remember, try to imagine yourself going back in time before all the technology we have today and trying to explain to someone a cell phone. It would be very difficult because there's nothing back then during the Middle Ages that would, horses and carriage. I mean, how can you explain all the modern things we have around us? Same thing is God. We don't have words right now to explain even close to what could be God, if we could understand it. But we know is the intelligence that created, the original intelligence, the primitive intelligence that's greatest that created the whole universe we are in. But we don't go much beyond that. But then chapter 25 of the Gospel according to Spiritism is focused on when Jesus talked about ask and it shall be given to you. And this is one of the most interesting and powerful passages of the Gospel. Ask and it shall be given to you. He emphasized the importance of asking, the importance of actually manifesting what we want, right? Renato talked about this passage a few weeks ago. When and I'm going to repeat it with my words because I think everybody feels it a little bit different. But there's that passage when Jesus was with his apostles in the middle of and there was towards the end of his mission, there was always multitudes, like lots of people surrounding Jesus to be healed, to be with him. Imagine that at this point in time, all the healing was already, all the miracles, so-called miracles were all spread, and people would come from far away to be healed, to be touched, to learn from him. And it wasn't that situation, and then a lady or someone touched him, and Jesus stopped and said, "Somebody touched me." And the boss was like, yeah, there's 100 people. I'm touching you right now. There's a lot of people here. So of course everybody's touching you. And then the last one came from Jesus. No, somebody touched me with intention. Somebody manifested a desire, a wish, and it was fully concentrated, fully connected, and touched him with an intention, of creating something. And that was unusual. Because the vast majority of us, we have wishes, but we rarely put focus and intention in asking for something for us. And that seems to be a very important process for every single one of us. Even for us, and we're talking about this, even for us that understand a little bit of Christianity in this more pure sense, in the sense of the mind, of living the life as Jesus taught us, manifesting the intention is sometimes that doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy for us. But that's the recommendation right now here. When you want something, want it with your heart and your mind, and ask. Ask God for that. Ask. Ask the divine. Ask whatever connection you have with the divine, the good spirits, the angels, your protector. Ask. Manifest that. Do the manifestation of that, right? And that will always be heard. Kardec mentions this, that no matter what, when you ask something with intention, you will be always heard. It's going to always connect to the divine. Always. But the problem is, here comes where the challenge comes. Depending on what you ask, the answer will be more or less direct to your intent, depending on God's love. Imagine us, if you are like a typical parent, right, and your child asks you something with a lot of intention. Like, for instance, your child wants to play video game the whole day. Just play 24 hours playing video game. He or she really wants it. But you are a loving parent. How would you go by? Is that good for the child? But probably you're going to take that opportunity, that desire, and channel it in a good way. Maybe if you do something, maybe if you learn something, maybe if you accomplish something, you do that. But you lead in that direction. But it might not be exactly what the child wants. What the child wants is just that, to get the video game to play for a whole 24 hours. But that might not be the best. So God will always listen to our intent, listen to our wishes, desires, and when we manifest them clearly, we create a path for that. But what's going to come from God then is going to be baited in love. So which means, when God sees us, does God think of us as bodies, as biologies, or as, as wallets, or, are this restricted human bodies we are right now, we think we are right now? Probably not. God sees us as a spiritual being, as a spirit that is old, that has been around for a long time. And God sees our inner reality, our inner condition deeply, from all the experience we had before, from all the thoughts we have manifested throughout all time, and sees what is the best experience we might need to go to reach the final goal, which is our connection with the divine. That's the final goal. Because that's going to make us infinitely happy when we reach that. And based on that, the help will always come. Always come. But I might not be exactly the way I want. The manifestation will always be exactly what I want. The problems that will come for me won't be the ones I think I should have. Maybe. Maybe not. Sometimes, to give us exactly what we want, there's other experiences that have to come first. There's other people that have to come to our life. There are other experiences we have to go through to reach that point. And as the years go by in our physical life, and I can attest to that, I can testimony like Renato says, over time, my opinion about my own life has changed quite a bit. Things that I thought were very good for me just a few years ago, and now with my older eyes, when I look into those events and into those experiences, I see them with completely different eyes. I see the things that hurt me or I thought were tremendous failures, right? Today things change a little bit. I'm going to give you one example of this group. The group, I'm going to just tell the story now. So we, for those of you that are familiar with us, we changed our location just after COVID, right? We changed the location of the group. But we had a previous place before COVID hit. And we're not very happy. The place we're not accommodating to our work already. And we got into a situation where there was another tenant in the building, and they wanted more space, so the landlord raised our price, raised the cost of our rent, and we decided we don't want to pay more because we are not really happy with the space. It's not serving us properly. So, and we decided to, okay, you know what, we're not going to pay anymore, but we don't have a place right now. And we decided, okay, it's kind of bad, we're going to stop and use another temporary location, continue with our work on a temporary location, so we don't interrupt our work, but we don't commit to a place we don't like, right? And that was something that honestly I thought was bad. And we thought, oh, maybe, it's an experience we have to go through, right? And then that was actually the beginning of 2021. It was February or March. And if you guys do the math, 2 weeks after we left the location, actually 1 or 2 weeks, the COVID lockdown happened. Nobody could do anything. No, all groups closed, everything closed for a year. And we had no rent to pay. I look back in this. For a moment, I thought it was a bad thing. We wouldn't have a location for a few months. And now I look back, we didn't plan COVID, right? We didn't know about it. And yet, and I look back at that and say, oh my goodness, somebody's guiding this, right? And we actually now in a location that's much more convenient to our work, right? So it's so difficult sometimes. This is an easy case, right? This is easy because when I tell you the story, it's so easy to see. Of course, in the beginning, when we went through it, it was not that easy. But I think all the experiences in our life, all of them, even the worst ones, the most difficult ones, the ones that give us so much pain, even those are also reinforcing and learning and teaching us experiences that are enforcing the growth of the Spirit, the change we need to implement in ourselves. Because one of the things, unfortunately, for the vast majority of us, spirits of earth, people that live on earth, the vast majority of us are spirits that are in deeply need of renovation. We are here to renovate ourselves, to grow. There are major parts of our psychic, major parts of our spirits that need to adapt to a better way to approach the universe, where compassion, where tolerance, where peace, where resilience, and eventually, the most important of all, where love will live within our hearts and minds. How can we learn those things without being exposed to situations that will test us, that will force us to nurture those emotions, those feelings, what if we had no difficult person in our life? Probably we would stagnate in our growth to those resiliences. What if we had no challenges in terms of keep our peace, in terms of disturbances that happen to us? What if everybody was perfect around us? What if God had imagine God could have placed us in some sort of quote-unquote paradise where all people were mature, stable, rational, and loving, and we were the only ones there from earth. Most people probably would like to be there, but you won't, because those people would make decisions that are always balanced, always thoughtful, always loving, right? And probably we would be rebellious. It's too boring. We are exactly in the place where those virtues will be developed. We are with the families that are going to test us and force us to go through the experiences we need to make a strong spiritual growth in this life. And the understanding of that will come over time. As we mature, as we look back, we'll see. We are blessed in Spiritism. We're blessed because we have a lot of information from people that have crossed to the other side. Most people don't. Most people only talk to people that are here in the flesh, right? But we don't believe that's the end. We believe that the moment our flesh stops, the moment our bodies no longer are alive, the spirit continues, the mind continues, right? And how useful do you think it is if we could, imagine if you take that for a moment, if you accept that life continues. How valuable do you think would be to have a conversation with someone that's already gone through that process, that's already free from their physical body? How valuable would it be for us to just have that interaction? It's a blessing if you can do it, if you can have it. If you have been exposed to that experience, that's a tremendous blessing that many people don't have. Because that shows you what's coming. That removes the fear, or at least should help remove the fear, and give you a clear guidance to what to expect. And that's what the gospel of Jesus is. If you think about the gospel, it's exactly a recipe to live your life as your life is eternal, as the life is not going to end. That's why Jesus spoke about love thy neighbor as yourself. And even go further, love thy enemy. Don't judge. Be charitable to anyone. Right? Manifest your love. The essence of the gospel makes total sense when you look from the perspective of a life that never ends. Because all the people you have in your life right now, every single one of them won't die, just like you. All the people I have in my life right now won't die, just like me. So we will talk. We will interact 100 years, 200, 400, 500 years from now. Who knows what is then? So now, looking from that perspective, how important could be this experience today? How important if we put a little bit more patience, a little bit more compassion, and a little bit more will to withstand and transform situations that are bad, that are difficult, but will one day get better. And that's I think, is the treasure we are being exposed from the gospel. And today, one great step in that direction we can talk today is the manifestation, to ask, to start getting used to manifest what we want from God, right? And even if what we want is not the best for us, right? Don't worry. God knows better and will guide us through the experiences we need to mature, right? But never stop asking. Never stop manifesting your connection with the divine and asking what you want, asking your direction, asking for guidance, asking for wisdom, asking for whatever you find appropriate, because it's your connection directly with the divine. And that's the connection that's probably going to be the most important for us. The direct connection every single one of us has with the divine, with God. And it's something that at least I have a lot of work to do, and probably a lot of us do. With that in mind, we're going to send you wishes of a great season. We're probably going to have only one more meeting this year. And wish you guys a wonderful weekend and a happy season. Happy Merry Christmas and all that's coming at this time of hopefully meditation and growth that happens every year. And with that in mind, we'll move to our passages, saying goodbye to everybody.